This is the Padres POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the
San Diego Padres.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Padres fan? Welcome to your Padres POSTCAST on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Jim Grieshaber. Call me Grease, and the luck had to run out sometime, didn't it? It's the thing about Major League Baseball, 162 games, 162 very different results. Every game is like a snowflake, and hey, most of the time when you tell me the San Diego Padres take a 3-2 lead in the top of the seventh inning, most of the time I'm going to tell you that they won the game. Right, with that bullpen. The thing is, you had to get through the seventh still, and it's the Yankees, so you can't go to Adam yet. Well, you could, but you're not going to. And then you got Suarez in back of him, and you're thinking you got it lined up beautifully. If only you can get through the seventh with Morejon, who's been great this year in that Tanner Scott role, and we just sort of jinxed him, didn't we? We sort of jinxed him with this, and I don't expect the numbers to be huge tonight. With a 12-3 loss, the Yankees with a 10-run seventh inning, the Padres had a 3-2 lead, man. They took a 3-2 lead in the seventh. They were leaving runners on base all night again. We got a lot to unpack with this game, especially since the Dodgers lost to the Marlins in Miami. And so, Dodgers lose to the Marlins, but you don't gain any ground, still a half game out because of what you see on your screen there behind you. 12-3, the final beatdown in the Bronx. Yes, Judge went deep. I mean, to jam a guy and he gets one off the hands and just kind of serves it to right field. Jeter used to do that. But Judge does it because he's so dang strong. And all he has to do is make contact. Those plays where Jeter used to inside-out base hits to right field, those are home runs for Judge, man. I mean, he managed to barrel up that ball that was about this far off his hands. He barreled it up. How does a guy that size do it? How does a guy that size barrel up so many balls all over the strike zone? It just scientifically and just geometrically doesn't seem possible. Geophysically, whatever. It just doesn't seem possible for him to barrel up so many balls. It's your Padres POSTCAST and the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease. And yeah, the win streak comes to an end at, 6? Yeah, the dub streak is over. By the way, while you're here, smash that subscribe so you know you're a part of the whole entire community here, the Friar Faithful on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Smash that bell as well. You know what that is? That gives you alerts when we come your way with more content. Myself and Javier Reyes, look, we're the best of both worlds. We're the best of both worlds. He's got the everyday show. I got the postcast after the games, and you guys got all the stuff you bring to the table, all the comments I see in his show, all the stuff you come on in to the comments here with this show, with the postcast as well. And my desk likes to jump all over the place. So the computer's right there with the camera. But man, oh man, this game, textbook, you had it right. And it just, again, the home run hit by Judge off of Michael Diggy down with the King. We're going to get to that in a minute. We got a lot to unpack in a short time to unpack it in. This is your Padres POSTCAST and the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, Gries, at Jim Grease _ on social media. Give me a follow. I make you holla. All right. But first things first, thank you for watching us, listening to us day in and day out. Myself and Javi, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, free on YouTube, your team every day, free on Roku, your team every day, free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Stitcher, Podbean, you name it. We are free with your Locked On Padres podcast and your Padres postcast. And today's show, this episode of your Padres postcast is brought to you by, and I don't even have the watch on, but come on, you know what time it is. You always know what time it is because no matter whether there's a game going on or not, you know it is game time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. What time is this? Time for you to go to a game. That's what time it is. All right, Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease. Who's saying what up in there? Zanocan, what's cracking? They pulled King too early, in my opinion. Well, I knew that was coming. I was ready for you. In my defense, I was ready for you. So, Michael King, when did they take him out? Real quick, I got to do something for you guys. One time for your mind, lot to do, short time to do it in. Let's get to it. Padres POSTCAST and the Locked On Podcast Network, your pods every day.
This is what you'll be talking about.
I felt like Butthead for all you Gen Xers and all you older people out there, all the, you know what I mean, Beavis and Butthead, and you're just sitting there like, I'm on camera just going, because, yeah, it didn't play. So let's just do it again.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Dang, StreamYard. You're going to be talking about that 10-run seventh inning for the Yankees. You're going to be talking about Aaron Judge muscling a home run over the right field wall earlier in the game, which was really incredible. The show of strength from Aaron Judge. And you could see him, like the size of that man, just to be able to square up and get barrel on ball the way that he does, and to be strong enough to lift it, and to be, when you lift it, to be strong enough. Do you realize for most humans, that's just a fly ball out, or are like a little flare behind second base? Maybe at most, like with Derek Jeter, he was really great at squaring it up, which is awesome when you're talking about a cylinder hitting a round object, right? A barrel hitting a ball, a cylinder hitting a ball. Think about that, right? Bang. You're squaring up a circle on a cylinder, right? A sphere on a cylinder is what you're doing. And Judge has an incredible knack for doing it. And this is the thing that I used to say all the time about Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, and all them dudes. And yeah, Judge, like, look, he gets that benefit. That steroid guys hit a lot of home runs like Judge just did tonight, except obviously not on. But what that does, that superhuman type of strength, it allows that fly ball out to become a homer. It makes the bleachers. And Tati couldn't believe he ran out of room. He's like, what? This ball just kept carrying, right? That's the way it happens when a guy like Judge hits it. With Jeter, he squared him up, and he would go the other way. We see it a lot with Arise. We saw it for years and years with Mr. Padre, Tony Gwynn. There wasn't a ball you could pitch him that he couldn't hit. Now, he was the best in the world at going with whatever pitch and taking it wherever he wanted to, as opposed to where you pitched him, right? Whereas a lot of power hitters, they can only do one or two things with a pitch or locations. Tony Gwynn was going to eat you alive no matter where you threw him, no matter how hard you threw, no matter what. But I don't care how many steroids you're on. I don't care how strong you are. I don't care if you're superhuman, if you're Superman himself. I don't care, okay? You still have got to have that immense talent. The hardest thing to do in life, maybe, let alone sports, is to square up a baseball with that bat and get the barrel on it. The way he brought his hands in, I mean, just an incredible, just watch Judge's home run if you get a chance. Just a thing of beauty. And meanwhile, for the Padres, and to get back to your point, NanoCam, King 6 innings. I mean, should you have started the 7th with King? Schultz been doing it this way all year long. King's never gone that far into a game. He had only thrown 90 pitches, given up 3 hits, right? And if you look back at his previous inning of work, and again, this is all hearsay, right? It's all after the fact, so you're always right after the fact, because you have the knowledge of what transpired. Now, if Morejon had come in as he's done all year long, and you know what I'm saying, it wouldn't have mattered. But, you know, what's the old phrase my dad used to tell me? If my aunt had a bleep, she'd be my uncle. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what it is. So anyway, although this day and age, I'm not sure. But the top of the 7th inning for San Diego was pretty dope. I mean, they scratched out a run. They had some opportunities throughout the game to do it. You know, you had a couple of times in the game when they were able to put runs on the board. And it was one of those weird games anyway. You know, the Padres, and I'm going to say real quick, they scored 3 runs on 10 hits, 1 error, 12, 10, and 1 for the Yankees. So the hits were even, and they just weren't getting the hits with the runners in scoring position tonight, weren't breaking open those big innings as they have been doing for a while, and that was a big thing. And, yeah, taking King out in that position, when you look back at what the Yankees had done in the bottom of the 6th inning, it was just pretty easy. And he had just gotten through Rice, Judge, and Bellinger, right? So that's the bottom of the 6th, and then the top of the 7th happens, and the Padres come and they score, right? Manny Machado strikes out to end the inning, and you leave Jackson Merrill on deck. Shout out to Jackson Merrill. Great comeback today. Had a couple of hits in his first 2 times up, single and a double. Shout out to Merrill. Action Jackson, as we love to call him here on the show. But in that top of the 7th, you know, Tatis doubles to right, knocks in Gavin Sheets. And, you know, it was just one of those, a single by Sheets, a pop out, a single by Diaz. And earlier in the game, they had scored in different ways. And it was interesting, you know, because Judge hit that home run, and you know, then Dominguez singles to right and scores Bellinger after the walk. But the throwing error by Tatis Jr., the ball gets by Manny. The sacrifice fly from Hayward made it 2-0. But the first run the Padres scored in this game, which was pretty interesting to me. You know, the most important run of the game is obviously the one that puts you ahead to stay. But Manny scores on a balk to make it 1-0. And it's just that kind of a game. You needed a balk and then a sac fly, but you literally started that inning. I mean, you got bases loaded with one out. And so many times on their losing streak, that would happen. But yeah, I'm with you, because the 7th inning comes around. You had just gotten through. You know what I mean? You had just gotten through Rice and Judge and Bellinger, and it's still 2-0. Bottom of the 7th, you got, you know what I mean? Dominguez leading it off. I would have left King in there too. Morejon, though, I mean, when you want to build the confidence of your relievers and you want to have him, had he gone out there and held it, you want to give him that 3-2 lead in the 7th at Yankee Stadium this time of year so he's ready in the postseason. You don't have Tanner Scott. You need those lefties, right? You need those lefties, and then obviously Peralta coming on in, and from there it just went nuts, and the carnage was real. We'll unpack that carnage on the other side real quick before we hit the break. Zano Can says this kind of game was inevitably going to happen. It was just a matter of time. One hiccup doesn't define us. The bullpen at some point, the bullpen had to falter on some level, right? When you're talking about the Padres bullpen this year and what they've been able to do, unbelievable, and just the numbers. And I pulled them up, obviously. And by the way, Aaron Judge and Paul Goldschmidt, 519 and 452 with runners in scoring position. That helps with a 10-run inning, obviously. So Morejon, 17 and a third with a 1.56 ERA and a 0.92 whip coming into tonight. I repeat, 17 and a third, 1.56, 0.92. Estrada, 17 and 2/3, 2.04, 0.91. And then it gets nuts. 19 innings, 0.95 and 0.95 for Adam. 16 innings, 0.56 ERA, 14 saves, 14 opportunities for Suarez. So the bullpen's going to blow a game. It never happens. And Morejon was the guy tonight. In retrospect, I'd have left King in. But in retrospect, I know that the Yankees scored 10 runs in the 7th. So if you had left King out there and the same thing had happened, or even if he had given up a 2-spot or a 3-spot and they lose the game, you know what I mean? It's easy to second guess. I mean, everybody's undefeated when you second guess, right? Really easy to do. Look at those numbers. Through the roof. Thank you, Padre Nation. We love you. Myself and Javier. Jason Ramirez says bullpen lost the game tonight, but they've won games too. They've won a ton of games. When this offense wasn't scoring, when they're leaving everybody and their brother and sister, it's not even co-ed. They're leaving them on base. You know what I mean? So, yeah, the bullpen has kept them in so many games and won them games over and over again. And yes, Jason, the Yanks are really good. And I love, and to Jason, and this isn't Jason's point that I know of, but my point, to my earlier point with what Jason just said, and if you want to hop on in the chat, come on in. You know what I'm saying? But to his point and to my point, you want to give Morejon the ball in that position. You want him to be that guy. You need him to be that dude. You need him to be that dude. I mean, at the very least, you need a combination of the two. You need a formula of those two lefties getting the job done for you, right? You really do. Now, would I have left King in from the purpose of he had 90 pitches, he had just gotten through the meat of the order, good time to leave him in, but, he had thrown 90, and these games don't matter anywhere near as much as later in the year, which is another reason why I don't think they should bring Darvish back sooner than they absolutely have to. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease. Got to get to this break. Really need to fill you in on a couple of great deals from some awesome sponsors, and you get these great deals because we have 220 plus shows, and they need a place to spend their money, so why not spend it here and hook you up? Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Padres POSTCAST, 12-3 Yanks with a 10-run 7th inning, players of the game, turning point, all that stuff on the other side with, by the way, the series finale tomorrow in the Bronx, New York City, and the Pods can still win that series. Unpack all that and more. Keep it here, Padres POSTCAST and the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if you are like me and you've checked your bank account recently or even ever, right, and you've wondered, where did all my money go? Between dining out, between shopping, online, entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Now, we give you great deals from companies like Game Time and Prize Picks and DoorDash and FanDuel. You can go out and you can go crazy, right? Maybe even add to that income. And Monarch Money is perfect doing that for you. It's not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. surprising insights. Like when I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and I save more. And who doesn't want to do that? I know you do, right? All in one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. It's easy to collaborate with your partner, significant other, a work thing, whatever, business. Managing money smoother than ever with a partner. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. So what's that mean for you? Simple. Take control of your finances. Yours. I'm talking to you with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Taking control of your finances with Monarch Money on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. And you know where I'm going next. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, better than catching an MLB game live. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the smell of the ballpark food. Don't even get me started. Petco has the best food in the majors, bar none. If you're looking to go last minute, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. All those Dodgers series coming up. Are you kidding me? With last-minute deals, all-in pricing, and a lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as Game Time gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal with Game Time, the official ticketing partner of Locked On. And you know, I told you about those Dodgers series coming up. You can do a spontaneous game night, last-minute tickets to a game, unbeatable prices, more money for food, for merch, all those good things. You get the Game Time Picks feature, which makes finding the best deals effortless. It filters out the fluff and highlights the top discounts in the stadium. You get the seat views before you buy. I love that I can just pick this bad boy up right here. You don't even know what I'm looking at. I'm looking at seats to every game I go to before I go, man. It's unbelievable. I can look at it. It's panoramic. It moves. It really is dope. So what's that mean for you? You, my friend, are going to take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Game Time. Codes Locked On MLB on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team, yours, every single day, even days like today. All right, 12-3, Yanks beat the Padres, 10-run, seventh inning. You just throw away that inning. I mean, they had a 3-2 lead. You get to Morejon, who's been lights out. You got Scott. You got Suarez. And look, Scott will blow a game, and Suarez will blow a game too. You know what I'm saying? It'll happen. It will happen if you watch enough. Obviously, you're not going to go through the whole year without blowing anything, and it's tough. You know, it really is tough. And I'm looking at five things at once. When I think about the Padres and I think about what this team has accomplished so far this year without a lot of offensive support. And yeah, Jackson Merrill hasn't missed a beat. Jason Ramirez and Zano Can's still super stoked to see Merrill jump right back in, continue to kill it, even after a long break. Oh, like the 2004 Red Sox. Scott Brocious, y'all remember? Oh, Demon D says Scott Brocious. That's why. And so you're getting some Yankee fans coming on in here. But man, oh man, when I think about Jason Adam and Robert Suarez on the back end of that bullpen, you're going to have nights when they don't get it done either. And it is what it is. And you know, you have King on the mound. You have a 1-game lead in the series. You have a chance to win the series right there. Maybe I leave him in. Maybe I don't. But it's easy for me to say. And Mike Shilt's been phenomenal. It was great in St. Louis. Been great here. Padres, you know, the Dodgers lost tonight. Still only a half game out. Couldn't retake first. But man, oh man. I'm happy with the manager, Ruben Niebla, the amount of time he puts in with the pitchers. This team's very special, and it's going to go far. Speaking of which, we can't go much further. With the clock of the show, we got to get out of here. So real quick, couple of things to do in a short time to do them in, starting with, where did it go? There it is.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Well, obviously, the turning point was the 10-run seventh inning. And really, if you dig a little bit deeper into that turning point and you dig a little bit deeper into that seventh inning, I hope you guys can hear me okay. every once in a while, it's weird. It'll just start to kind of go in and out on me, and all the levels are good and everything's great. 5 RBIs in the 10-run seventh, by the way, for Wells. And so obviously Austin Wells, the Yankees catcher, who doesn't do anything like that in the postseason, never mind that, but 5 RBIs in a 10-run seventh inning, 12-3 the final, Judge with his 12th homer, Yankees snap a 3-game skid. You know what I mean? Just a full count changeup that's in on the hands to Judge from Wandy Peralta. Just beautiful. You know what I mean? And it just, I'm sorry, that was Wells off of Peralta. Judge's was off King, right off the hands. But unbelievable, man. The RBI single from Wells started it, so you could say that was a turning point. But obviously the turning point was the 10-run seventh inning for the Padres. And for me, the turning point is apparently not able to read while I'm broadcasting live. All right, let's see what you have to say real quick before we get on out of here. Machado loves that green glove, man. It's funny. Manny, that was a tough play. When Tati threw that ball to Manny's left and the sliding runners in the way. And yeah, man, that was brutal. But none of that would have mattered tonight with everything that happened in that inning. So that was the turning point. And that leads me to dun 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 dun.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
I mean, it's pretty easy when you think about a player of the game. And I just have to, throw this up here. I have to real quick. I mean, just to see tonight's return of Jackson Merrill and the offense responding to that. They didn't have the best night, but you could just see the pick-me-up. He gives out a couple of hits in this game, and Fernando had the RBI double. So maybe with Merrill back and maybe Fernando's getting off the schneid a little bit right now. Maybe. I don't know. Manny's been swinging the bat pretty well, definitely, so it just is nice to see that man back in the lineup. But when you're talking about players of the game and you're talking about players who make the difference in those games and the way that they win, the Yankees are loaded with them up and down that lineup and just making things happen. Judge hit the home run earlier in the game, and I'm looking for Wells here, and I know I have him in here somewhere. Where are we at? 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 Come on now. Yeah, no, it's not going to happen for me. I'm trying to find him in here, and I don't know. We had him in there. But anyway, he is the player of the game, obviously 5 RBIs in 1 inning. But when you think about what happened in this game tonight, that inning notwithstanding, the Padres played good baseball. I mean, yeah, they just couldn't get the big hit with 2 outs, and that's been a problem all year, but it's baseball. You succeed 3 out of 10 times, you're a Hall of Famer. It is what it is. I mean, Hayward had the sac fly. Manny got the RBI on a balk. You know what I mean? But you don't get the RBI on a balk. But the run came in. He doesn't get the RBI, but the run comes in. You know what I'm saying? But runners in scoring position, again, remember when they went 9 for 17 in the 2 games against the Giants? That's unrealistic. But, there were a whole lot more nights like tonight in that 8 of 11 and 4-game losing skid where they lost their only series of the year to the Rays. But 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position tonight. Tati, the only one coming through. Iglesias, Machado, Bogarts was 0 for 2 tonight. And look, that's a difference right there because Bogey had 5 RBIs in the previous 2 games and was unable to get it done tonight. But no matter what had happened prior to that 7th inning, that was going to happen eventually to the bullpen. Morejon just did not have it tonight, and Peralta, I mean, Morejon in a third of an inning, 4 earned runs in a third of an inning, 3 hits. And had the walk as well. 2 walks for Peralta. He allowed 6 earned runs in 2/3 of an inning. So, man, oh, man, just those ERAs going to go through the roof now. And obviously those numbers not going to be looking good. But I really, this team's fine, and Bergert came in tonight and pitched a scoreless inning. So the bullpen imploded tonight is what happened. You have great hitters on the other team. They made it to the World Series last year for a reason. Went out and got 3 sticks for the price of 1 when they lost Soto. I mean, look, you got Goldschmidt, you got Bellinger. So it is what it is. The Yankees are an elite team. It was a 3-2 lead. And look, I'm going to say 85% of the time, 80 to 85, by the time it's all said and done on this season, including playoffs and everything, you give the Padres bullpen a 3-2 lead in the 7th inning, and you have 9 outs to go. They're going to win 80 to 85% of those games. And they just didn't tonight. And that is what it is. There is no more. 12-3 the final, a 10-run 7th does them in tomorrow. Tomorrow, I love you. Tomorrow, you're only a day away. And it's a 4:05 our time. Start again tomorrow And really, you had King dealing. I might have left him in one more inning. We got a couple more quick comments to read, and then we're out of here. They'll be all right. That's right, Orthodox Evans. We're doing well when we get worried about one loss. And on that note, I'll remind you to check out Javi with Locked On Padres podcast day in and day out. Myself after the games, every game. And of course, tomorrow night, 4:05 first pitch. And the pitching matchup is Dylan Cease. Maybe he can get going against Max Fried. And Max Fried is 6-0 with a 1.01 ERA. I mean, if you think about that, that's just a really incredible start to the season. So 6-0 with a 1.01 against 1-2 with a 5.61. The Yanks are obviously favored in that game, -180, and then they're -1.5 on the run line. So there you have it. And we'll be here right after the game on YouTube, on Roku, and on Spotify, Apple, and iHeart, and all the above. Stitcher, Podbean, with your Padres postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries, Gries, at Jim Gries _ on social media. Thanking you so much for being here. As always, manifesting a shutout, Zano can. Let's do it. Keep your game tight, your mind right, and keep manifesting shutouts for the Padres on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day.